In February 2026, the White House issued an executive directive targeting one of the military's most guarded subjects, unidentified anomalous phenomena. This mandate led Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to launch Pursue, the presidential unsealing and reporting system for UAP encounters. The logistical scale of the directive was massive. It required coordination across dozens of federal agencies to identify, review, and declassify tens of millions of records, many of which had been sitting in legacy paper formats for decades. For a quarter-century, public access to this kind of material relied heavily on civilian researchers fighting through the Freedom of Information Act. Projects like the Black Vault spent years appealing redactions to pry loose fragments of project data. Now, the government was proactively dumping files on a rolling basis. The initial tranches reached deep into the archives. Included in the releases were transcripts and photographs for the Apollo missions, where astronauts documented unusual light formations and unexplained phenomena while working on the lunar surface. The administration presented this release as an effort to provide the public with the primary data previously held within classified silos, officially stating that the system would provide complete and maximum transparency into what the military knew. But this absolute declaration of transparency immediately collided with a different reality. At the exact same time the Pentagon was uploading its archives, a network of intelligence whistleblowers began testifying that the most definitive evidence was actually being actively quarantined. The public releases leaned heavily on ambiguous historical encounters and blurry optical artifacts. Yet modern military aviation, equipped with advanced targeting pods on aircraft like the FA-18 Hornet, routinely captures highly precise multispectral data. This discrepancy caught the attention of lawmakers like Representative Anna Paulina Luna, who co-chaired a congressional task force investigating the withholding of federal secrets. Supported by testimonies from senior military and intelligence officials, they alleged that executive departments were operating outside of their constitutional boundaries. The American public is looking at two entirely separate tracks of disclosure. There is the official track, filled with unresolved mysteries, and a shadow track that insiders claim holds definitive, high-definition proof. To understand the divide, we have to look at what the Pursue system actually released in May and June of 2026. The files show how military documentation of these encounters has evolved from brief pilot anecdotes to sophisticated tracking by multi-sensor arrays locking onto erratic targets. The logs detail specific modern events, like an object tracked over Greece making sudden 90-degree turns at high speeds, and a football-shaped craft monitored by forces in the Indo-Pacific. Looking at this data chart breaking down the incident reports, the government's analytical process classifies many sightings as prosaic objects, things like balloons, birds, or atmospheric anomalies. However, a significant portion, roughly 40% of the documented cases, lack reasonable explanation and are formally classified as unresolved. This is backed up by newly declassified historical files, including decades of FBI records on flying discs and further details on the anomalies logged by Apollo crews. These files successfully validate that the military has been observing unexplainable objects for decades, but by definition, the Pursue system is a repository for the unresolved here. It relies on data that is inherently insufficient to make a positive identification, deliberately omitting the high-fidelity imagery that whistleblowers say exists. Those whistleblowers include active-duty personnel like Senior Chief Petty Officer Alexandra Wiggins, who described watching a self-luminous, tic-tac-shaped object emerge directly from the ocean to join a synchronized formation, all recorded on multispectral radar and video. According to investigative reports and internal documents delivered to Congress, footage like that never makes it to the public database. It is instead routed to an unacknowledged special access program called Immaculate Constellation, allegedly established in 2017 to bypass congressional oversight. As detailed in this section of the leaked report, the program serves as a central hub designed to detect, quarantine, and transfer high-quality imagery intelligence and measurement and signature intelligence before it can circulate through the broader military intelligence enterprise. The report outlines exactly what this quarantine data looks like. It describes daytime infrared footage of a dozen metallic orbs flying in a tight cuboid formation over the ocean, and night vision tracking of massive equilateral triangular craft hovering near intelligence vessels in the Pacific. The documentation also logs physical and psychological effects of these encounters. Observers reported objects with dynamic surfaces appearing to roil like the sun, accompanied by sudden temperature drops, electromagnetic interference, and a profound sense of unease or altered time perception among the flight deck crews. The Department of Defense officially denies that Immaculate Constellation exists. Yet, as noted in the Bureaucratic Records section, declassified communications reveal that senior intelligence officials were actively monitoring press leaks regarding the exact same program. The architecture is highly compartmentalized. If a sensor captures a blurry, distant shape, it eventually makes its way to a public disclosure website. If a sensor captures clear, structured craft exhibiting anomalous behavior, it is intercepted and buried within a classified network. Despite the compartmentalization, the sheer volume of the 2026 releases has given civilian scientists and researchers a massive dataset, allowing them to map global incident patterns using the government's own declassified coordinates and sensor logs. The PURSE database serves as a formal acknowledgement of these sightings. Even with the limitations of the optical evidence, the release confirms that thousands of military encounters remain unexplained after professional analysis. Whistleblower disclosures have shifted the focus toward a demand for congressional oversight of secret servers and the high-definition imagery they allegedly contain. The reality of unidentified anomalous phenomena is now a matter of public record. The question driving the next phase of disclosure is not what is operating in the sky, but who is controlling the high-definition evidence of it, and how long they can manage to keep it hidden.